Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I am so happy you are here to listen and learn together. Have you ever tried learning something very new, maybe something that feels a bit strange at first? Today, we will talk about an adventure many children and grown-ups in Japan go on, learning English. But this is not just any talk about English. I will tell you about the special problems, or pitfalls, that only Japanese people often face while learning English. And maybe by listening, you will spot some of these in your own studies or in your friends. Let's start our journey and see what surprises are waiting for us. Imagine you are holding a dictionary in your hand, and the words are jumping up and down. Some words look like words you already know in Japanese. Maybe you see the word table, and you remember there is teburu in Japanese. Or maybe you see juice and think of jusu. It feels like English and Japanese are not so different, right? But here comes pitfall number 1. Sometimes, words that seem the same have very different meanings. These are called loan words, or in Japanese, geirego. Loan words are English words used in Japanese, but they sometimes change along the way. Let me give you a fun example. Have you ever ordered juice in Japan? If you do, you might get any kind of drink, maybe tea or soda, not just fruit juice. But in English, juice really means a liquid that comes from fruit or vegetables. If you ask for juice in America and you get tea, you might feel very surprised. And here is another word, mansion. In Japan, a mansion is an apartment, maybe a nice apartment building. But in English, a mansion is a giant house where a very rich person might live. So if you say, I live in a mansion, your English-speaking friend might think you live in a castle. This is just the beginning. Many Japanese English learners need to check if the English word they know has the same meaning in English as it does in Japanese. It's a little tricky, don't you think? Imagine you are playing a video game and you think you found a magic key, but it does something different from what you thought. That's just like loan words. Now, let's go to pitfall number 2. This one is about sounds. Did you ever try to say the English R? It's not rari ruri ro like in Japanese. It's more like your tongue is hiding in the middle of your mouth, almost touching the roof, and it makes a funny sound. Japanese doesn't have the same sounds as English, especially for R and L. Let's say rice and lice. For many people in Japan, those two words sound the same. But in English, rice is what you eat, and lice are little bugs that live in hair. So careful with that. Do you ever play with your school friends and tell jokes? Imagine joking about glass and grass. If you mix up L and R, you might say let's sit on the glass when you mean grass. Ouch, that might hurt. It's normal because Japanese uses sounds that aren't in English, so your mouth isn't used to these sounds. But don't worry. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. At first, it's hard, but with practice, you get better. For English learners in Japan, the secret is to listen closely and try to copy English sounds, even if they feel funny at first. Maybe you can play games with your friends to see who can say lollipop and robot the best. Let's think about another problem together. Sometimes, Japanese and English words are in a different order. In Japanese, you might say watashi wa ringo o tebamasu, which is I apple eat. But in English, you must say I eat an apple. If you switch the words, it sounds strange. This takes us to pitfall number 3, word order. Many Japanese English learners find it hard to remember the order of sentences. It feels like trying to build a tower by putting blocks in the wrong places. If the blocks are not in the right order, the tower falls. There's also something fun about questions. In English, to ask a question, you say, do you like cats? But in Japanese, you just add ka at the end, Niko ga suki desu ka? There's no need for do in Japanese. So, some Japanese English learners forget to put do in their English questions and say, you like cats? It's normal, and everyone makes these mistakes. But if you know about this pitfall, you can fix it, step by step. Let's talk about something many students worry about, making mistakes. In Japan, people sometimes feel shy about speaking another language because they are afraid to make a mistake. Maybe you have felt this too. Maybe your friend said, don't say it wrong. Or it's embarrassing if you make a mistake. But here is a special secret. In many English-speaking countries, making mistakes is just a part of learning. In fact, some people think making mistakes helps you learn faster. Imagine if babies waited until their words were all perfect before they spoke. None of us would ever talk. Pitfall number 4 is about being too quiet or too careful when using English. Japanese schools sometimes teach English by focusing on reading and writing, not speaking. So, when it's time to have a real conversation, people freeze like statues. It feels safer to write a sentence on paper than to say it out loud. This is like practicing baseball by only reading about it, but never holding a bat. English learning is not just about knowing the words, you have to open your mouth and give it a try, even if you make mistakes. And I want to tell you something that will make you feel better. If you're learning English, be brave. Try saying hello to classmates or friends in English. It doesn't have to be perfect. Even if people laugh, you are learning. That is what matters. Every time you try, you are stepping over a pitfall. Now, let's talk about pitfall number 5, katakana English. Do you know what that is? In Japan, you sometimes see English written in katakana. For example, computer, kombinyi, baichingu. These katakana words help Japanese people remember foreign words. But when you say them in English, they sound very different. Computer becomes computer. Baichingu is Viking, but in Japanese, Viking means a buffet. This can cause confusion, because you might say, let's go to a Viking in English, but your friend is looking for a man with a horned helmet, not a restaurant with lots of food. It's a little bit funny, don't you think? English changes when it comes into Japanese and gets written in katakana, and then it changes back when we try to use it as English again. It's like a game of telephone, where the word gets whispered and turns into something else. But don't worry. If you remember that many katakana words are not the same as real English words, you will be smarter than many adults. Isn't that cool? You can even make a game with your friends, see if you can guess the English word behind the katakana. And ask your teacher if you are not sure. Now, let's think about another pitfall. This one is about grammar. In English, we always need to say who is doing the action. I eat. She runs. They play. In Japanese, you can leave out the subject if everyone knows who you are talking about. You can just say tebamasu and people understand. But in English, you must say I eat. So, many Japanese learners forget the subject, and the English sentence feels strange. There are also little words like a, and the. These don't exist in Japanese. So, Japanese people say, I have pencil instead of I have a pencil. Or dog is cute instead of the dog is cute. These words are small, but important in English. It's a little like forgetting the salt in a soup. The soup still tastes okay, but it's just not the same. Let's take a break and think about something fun. Imagine you have a magic machine. You put Japanese in one side and get perfect English on the other side. But wait, that machine doesn't exist yet. But you do have something better, your brain. And every time you listen to English, read a story, or talk to a friend, your brain is learning to be that magic machine. Let's try a game together. Can you spot the mistake? Listen, my friend played soccer yesterday. What do you think? In Japanese, you say, Watashi no tomodachi wa ki no saka o shimashita. In English, when you talk about something in the past, you need to change play to played. So it should be, my friend played soccer yesterday. Great job if you caught it. Sometimes, Japanese learners mix up the S at the end of verbs. In English, when talking about someone else, you say, she plays, but in Japanese, you just say shimasu. So people say, she plays soccer, but it should be, she plays soccer. This is a very common pitfall, and it's not just for children, adults make this mistake too. Let's think about another interesting pitfall. Have you ever heard of Japanglish? This is when Japanese people make up their own English words that don't really exist in English. For example, salaryman means a male office worker in Japan. But in real English, people don't use salaryman. They say office worker or businessman. There is also o, which means office lady in Japan, but native English speakers do not use this word. And there are other funny words like morning call for wake-up call, or baby car for stroller. These words are called wasei eigo, or Japanese-made English. If you use these words in America or England, people might not understand. It would be like someone saying Nyanko bread to you. They made it up, but you don't know what it means. But here is something even more interesting. Sometimes, the English you learn in textbooks in Japan is very polite and not the way people really speak. In your book, you might see, how do you do? But in real life, people say, how are you? Or just hi. If you speak only textbook English, your sentences sound a little bit like a robot. Real English speakers use many short forms. Instead of I am going to the store, they say, I'm going to the store. Or even faster, I'm gonna go to the store. This is another pitfall, learning English by only reading, not by talking and listening. Maybe you have heard the story of the American man who visited Japan and saw a sign for hot cake. He laughed because in English, no one says hot cake, they say pancake. Or when he saw pants on a sign, he thought it was underwear, not trousers. These little mistakes make life funny, but they can also be a little confusing. Let's do another mini quiz together. Which English is correct? I am exciting. Or I am excited? If you said I am excited, you are correct. Many Japanese people say, I am exciting because in Japanese, or she means happy or excited. But in English, exciting means you make other people excited, not yourself. So, you say, the movie is exciting, but I am excited. This is pitfall number 8, the tricky words that end in ing and ed. They sound similar, but they mean something different. Try to remember, ed is for your feelings, and ing is for the thing that gives you the feeling. Now, let's talk about something even deeper. Many Japanese English learners are very good at reading and writing English, but when it is time to speak, they become shy. What if I make a mistake? What if people laugh? This worry is very normal in Japan, where there is a strong feeling that you should not stand out too much, or deru kugi wa yutoru, which means the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. But in English-speaking countries, people love to share their ideas, even if their English is not perfect. So, sometimes Japanese learners feel like they are just watching from the side, not joining in. But remember, English is not just for passing tests. English is for talking to new friends, reading stories, watching movies, and discovering the world. If you practice speaking, you will open doors in your future. It's okay to be different, be brave, and try. Sometimes teachers in Japan make English too much about tests and less about real communication. You practice listening for the test, but not for understanding your friend. When you only study for tests, you might forget the joy of learning. Imagine you are learning to swim, but all you do is read books about water. Sooner or later, you have to jump in. Let's review some common pitfalls again. Remember, watch out for loan words, listen closely to L and R sounds, pay attention to sentence order, don't leave out small words like a and the. Watch out for Japanese-made English, try not to only use textbook English, and don't worry too much about speaking perfectly. Do you want to know a secret? Many native English speakers also make mistakes when they learn Japanese. They might forget particles, like wa and ga. Or maybe they mix up iru and aru when talking about people and things. That is because every language has its own special rules, and everyone makes mistakes when they learn something new. I want to tell you about a boy named Kenji. Kenji was in 5th grade and loved video games. He wanted to play games from America and England, so he started learning English. At first, he was embarrassed to say anything at all. But every day after school, he tried to say one English sentence out loud in front of his cat, Tama. The cat didn't laugh, and soon Kenji could say 3 sentences. Later, he talked with an English teacher at school, and he was so excited, he almost forgot to add s to plays. But the teacher just smiled and helped him. Later, Kenji even made a new friend from Canada online, and now, he practices English every week. Kenji still makes mistakes, but each one is like a badge that shows he is learning. He sometimes mixes up L and R, and sometimes he says, I am interesting instead of I am interested. But now, he laughs about it and keeps going. Can you be like Kenji? Remember, everyone in the world who learns a new language has to be brave. It's also good to watch cartoons or listen to English songs. You can hear what real English sounds like. Maybe you can sing along, even if you don't know all the words. The more you listen, the better your English will become. You might learn words that are not in your textbooks, like cool, awesome, or let's hang out. Finally, let's talk about making English your own. English is a tool, like a pencil or a crayon. You can use it to say what you feel and what you think. If you only say what is in your textbook, your English is like a copy. If you try to use your own ideas, even simple ones, your English becomes more colorful and real. Here is a challenge for you. Every day, try to say one thing in English, even if you are alone. Make a mistake diary where you write your mistakes and laugh about them. Every mistake means you learned something new. Share your English with your family, your friends, or even your pet. Soon, you will find the pitfalls are really little bumps on the road, not big holes. In the end, what matters is not perfect English, but that you have fun, learn new things, and make new friends. Never be afraid to make a mistake. You are not alone, everyone is learning. Take small steps, be proud of yourself, and remember, English is not just for tests, it's for talking, sharing, and exploring the world beyond Japan. Thank you for listening to this special talk. I am so happy you are learning and growing every day. Keep jumping over those pitfalls. The world is waiting for you, and I believe you can do it. Let's keep learning together. See you next time.